Los Angeles, May 1950. A low-ceilinged basement room on the edge of the Capitol lot. A ceiling fan whirs away full tilt, but does nothing to clear the stale air. 2 facing desks, 2 chairs, a filing cabinet, and a wall calendar with a picture of somewhere tropical. Later in the day, the Venetian blinds will cast noirish shadows across the wall. Sitting opposite you, Angela Daniels, plaid shirt and blue jeans, hair short and tousled like Gloria DeHaven. She taps her pen against her teeth and sighs, and your eyes meet hers across the desk. You say, "What?" She says, "What?" Why the big sigh? "I'm struggling," she says. "What's that you're working on?" "Cowboys and Indians." "Powwow or battle scene?" "Battle scene, you?" "Stuck on a duel. Want to swap?" You spent all last week writing duels. All those close-ups of squinting eyes and hands twitching near holsters. "I'll pass." There are 8 rooms along this semi-subterranean corridor, each almost identical to this one, shared between 16 composers, all of them working on stock music, stings and cues for the Capitol Pictures music department. Facing those offices, a row of 10 smaller rooms, nicknamed the Meat Lockers, soundproof cells each containing an upright Steinway. A knock at the door. Could be one of your neighbours asking to borrow a pencil or some staff paper. Most likely it's Henderson, the music department's very own vampire of mirth. "Enter," says Angela, grandly, like a dowager countess in a costume flick, and Henderson enters the room, side-parting bow tie and sweater vest, holding a clipboard. "Miss Daniels, Conrad," he says. Always calls men, the men who work under him, by their surnames as if he believes it makes him sound more masculine. One of the guys. "Hey, Henderson," you say. "I'm almost done on the circus stuff. I'll have it on Peggy's desk by lunchtime." "I'm not here about the circus stuff," says Henderson. "What circus stuff?" "Circus movie. Mature in Lamar. He's the kind-hearted strong man. She's the acrobat with the secret." "Oh, that circus movie. Sure. No, I'm not here about that. You hear anything about the Irving Gold picture? Just got the green light. Lois Chandler and Chuck Logan." "Nope." "Angie?" "Chuck Logan," she says. "Remind me, is that the prize-fighting pound of ham?" "Sure as hell acts like one." Henderson breathes loudly through his nose. "Neither of you are funny. But if you don't want the job..." He turns a little theatrically towards the door. "What job? You didn't mention a job. Which job?" Henderson pauses, smiles. "The Irving Gold picture," he says. "They're looking for a composer." "Sole credit?" "Sole credit." "What's the picture?" "Scarlet Letter." "The Hawthorne novel?" "Correct." "They're making a movie of the Scarlet Letter with B actors. Come now, Conrad, you know we don't make B movies." "I know, but the Scarlet Letter, that's one of the..." "Angie, what's the word I'm looking for?" "Cornerstones?" "That's exactly the word. How do you do that?" "It's one of the cornerstones of American literature, and they're making it with Chuck Logan." I know, what can I say? There wasn't much enthusiasm for it over in the West Block. And they owe Gold a favor, so..." Henderson shrugs. "What made everyone so unenthusiastic?" "The title, Scarlet, Red, you get the idea." "Oh, you've got to be fucking kidding me." "Could you not curse around the lady?" "She swears like a sailor." "Are you telling me there are people who think the Scarlet Letter is a communist tract?" "I guess so. And look at the subtext." "What subtext? It's 100 years old." "But if you tell that story now, the book is 100 years old." "Be that as it may, it made some people nervous. So it's starring Chandler and Logan, and the budget is 1.4 rather than 2.8, and Laguna Beach will be standing in for Massachusetts Bay." "Oh, nice, authentic." "This town's full of idiots." No comment. "Now, do you want the job or not?" "Was that aimed at both of us?" "Just you, Conrad." "Gee, thanks," says Angela. "No offense, Miss Daniels, but Mr. Gold doesn't like women composers. So, Conrad, do you want me to put your name down? Is it mine for the taking?" "Not yet. I'll have to run a few suggestions past Mr. Walsh." He's talking about Talbot Walsh, head of the music department, Henderson's boss, everyone's boss, collector of 4 Academy Awards, often for scores he neither wrote, arranged, nor conducted. You've never met the man, but given his reputation, you're more than happy to have Henderson act as intermediary. "Which names are you running past him?" You, Jerome, Levine. Jerome? For a period piece? Isn't he a little screwball? Walsh likes him. And Levine, Levine's good, but he's not that good. That's why I'm asking you. I think when Berg and Walsh hear some of the work you did on the Emerald Cutlass, the job's as good as yours. Hear that, Angie? Job's as good as mine. Let me guess. Berg will ask for Wagner, but with a touch of whimsy, because he wants Alfred Newman, but can't afford to borrow him from Fox. Am I right? More or less. Okay, put my name down. I'll start thinking Wagnerian whimsy, or should that be Vimsy? Nothing too Russian sounding, of course. Wouldn't want to go scaring our friends in the West Bloc. You shouldn't joke about a thing like that. Who says I'm joking? You're always joking. Anyway, I have better things to do than stand around all day listening to your smart tracks. Conrad, Miss Daniels. When Henderson has left the room, you and Angela exchange a look, both of you wide-eyed and grinning. Angela slaps her hand down on a notepad. God damn, sole credit, that is good news. Don't jinx this. But Jesus, you must be happy. I'll be happy when the job's mine. Santa Monica Boulevard, roof down, a sassy version of Duke Ellington's Caravan playing on the radio. You glance up at the rearview mirror and see the Hollywood sign in reverse. That thing was falling apart when you first moved out here. Its letters a dusty shade of brown, the H caved in from where some drunk had crashed his car into it. Some of the studio old-timers thought it was important, the end of an era. But since then, it's been given a fresh lick of paint and sits gleaming up there on the hill. This is a perfect Los Angeles evening. In New York, it's snowing and struggling to get above 25 degrees. When you hear something like that, it's very hard to miss the place. The canyon is always a surprise, never mind that it's been, how long now? 9 months? Even after 9 months, you still take that right onto Laurel Canyon Boulevard and the city is gone, replaced by brown slopes dotted with dark green, Italian and Art Deco villas lining the hillsides, and the air rich with the almost overpowering fragrances of bricklebush and Jeffrey pine. You park up in front of the house, turn the ignition. The engine falls silent. The music cuts off. Inside, you pour yourself a scotch. No ice, just a squirt of soda water, the way Ron used to take it. He looks at you smiling from a picture taken out near Patchogue in the summer of '47, the two of you in short-sleeved shirts, both smiling, arms hooked around each other's shoulders. Funny how deceptive a picture can be. You were happy that day, but the days and months surrounding it were miserable. Jobs were few and far between, and the little work you had with off Broadway theatre and a handful of TV networks were far from well paid. Ron secured you a few days here and there, transcribing pieces of sheet music, and there were a few session gigs, but you were hardly the talk of the town. You watched as men your age wrote ballets and symphonies and Broadway shows, and you were consumed with envy. But that weekend in Patchogue was a happy one. The photo shows the Ron you knew, not the man who now gets written about by critics and academics. The man in the picture is the one whose voice you hear in letters you keep beneath your bed, smiling and carefree, at times almost boyish. Good God, you miss him. You sip your drink and look out through the window at the terrace and the lawn. Once again, it's been trashed. Clumps of earth all over the place. The trash can on its side and trash spilling out everywhere. Looks like a war zone. 3rd time this month. God damn it. The culprit's nowhere to be seen, of course. Probably happened during the night. Didn't even notice it this morning. Got up, got dressed, made coffee. You were in the car and driving out into Hollywood, and the whole time your backyard looked like this. Out on the terrace it gets worse. Whatever did this took a shit, or rather a series of shits, all over the lawn so that all you can see is shit. Told you, says a voice from next door's garden. Should have put bricks on your trash can. Mary rests on the fence with folded arms, a cigarette dangling from her lip in an ebony holder, the ash threatening to fall into her martini. Her eyeshadow is a little heavy this evening, giving her look a touch of Dia de los Muertos. Other than that, her hair is as immaculately coiffed as ever. Her gown, an Oriental-style 1920s original, you'd guess, still fits. Garlands of orange and green costume jewellery hang around her neck. You think it's raccoons? You ask. Gotta be. We had the same problem when we moved here back in 36. I just don't get it. If they're after the trash, why don't they just go after the trash? Why this? Because they're vermin, and they think this is their territory. Their territory? We're in LA, for Christ's sake. Don't let that fool you. We're in the mountains here, so about a month after we moved here, my late husband, may he burn in hell, saw a cougar in the yard. A cougar? Sure, there's cougars and coyotes all around here. Still, for my money, raccoons are the worst. They'll just tear the place apart, as you can see. Say, what's your poison there? She takes the cigarette holder from her lower lip and points its stem at your drink. Scotch, before 6? A man after my own heart. Why don't you hop over the fence and bring the hooch? If you like scotch, I've got a bottle I picked up in England around here somewhere. I don't know, Mary, should you be saving that for a special occasion? Saul, I am 51 years old and I haven't had a call back in months. If I save that scotch for a special occasion, I'll be cremated with it, and the explosion will take out half of Southern California. You join her on her terrace, similar to your own. Both houses were built by the same architect, but busy with dying pot plants. Above the mountains, the sky is lilac, and you can hear cicadas chirruping in the scrub. I'm just not used to this, you say. I mean, raccoons? Cougars? I grew up in New York. The only wildlife there is rats. Plenty of rats in this town, too. It's like living in a goddamn menagerie. Mary laughs. She refills her glass and passes you the bottle. Reminds me of intolerance, she says. Every day that set was like a zoo. Jaguars, elephants, donkeys, and doves. Every day there'd be a new animal on set. And one day these two stagehands, they're carrying a stone lion, except it isn't really made of stone, it's made of plaster of Paris or some such. So they're carrying this lion, and they almost drop it as they're walking past Llewellyn. She was one of the actresses, had a bigger part than me, but we went way back. Well, Cena screams like you'd think it had crushed every bone in her foot. You've heard the story before, but you won't tell her this. Instead, you top up your own glass and add a dash of soda from the siphon. And Mr. Griffith, he just says, Cena, 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 calm yourself, woman. That thing couldn't have squashed a fly. A brief pause. Cicadas. A twin prop airplane yawns and putters its way across the sky towards Burbank. Is it true, you ask? What you said about not having any callbacks? Oh, I am going through a real dry spell, Saul. It ain't funny being 51 in this town. Too old to play the damsel in distress, too young to play grandma or mother superior. Besides, even when I am old enough to play mother superior, I don't think I'm exactly the habit-wearing type, do you? My only habit is this stuff. She lifts her drink and swills it around, the ice cubes jangling against the glass. But you got it easy. Composers, I mean, never past your prime. Well, the movies will always need music for as long as they're movies. And if that don't work out, there's always TV. You know, I auditioned for a TV show last year, some Buck Rogers piece of crap called Captain Video. You know what they told me? They said I was too big for the small screen. Gave the part to some radio actress. And now I hear they've cast Vivian Leigh as Blanche in Streetcar. An English woman playing Blanche Dubois. That sad same bitch went and got herself Scarlett O'Hara. Not that I'm bitter. Everyone auditioned for that part. I believe even Danny Kaye gave it his best. Anyway, I called them up at the studio. I called them and I said, I'm just checking my name is still on file, because these things happen. Your file gets misplaced and suddenly you don't exist. So I called them and I said, am I still on file? And they said, sure, you're still on file, Miss Lafayette. And I said, well, that's funny, because last time I checked, I was a Louisiana-born actress of a certain age, and yet I was not asked to audition for Streetcar. And what did they say? They said Mr. Feldman and Mr. Kazan already had an actress in mind, and that open auditions were not held. Mary throws another couple of ice cubes into her glass and drenches them with scotch. The ice cracks. But they can all go to hell, she says. And somewhere in the mountains, as if agreeing with her, a coyote howls.